Hello everyone, this is CEW here, back again with another episode, and today we are going to see the long anticipated, well, in my opinion, the most controversial episode that's probably going to dethrone Ben 10 vs. Hal, Miles Morales vs. Deku, or Spider-Man vs. Deku. In my opinion, this is definitely going to be the most controversial fight out there because, either side are packing heat, especially when you're on Twitter. But as you can see, why is it 10:26 instead of the 12 o'clock? Well, long story short, I did recorded it, but due to traveling and all, I basically screwed up my original recording and literally had to wait till I get home, and then computer died, so we gotta wait for that. So, and what stinks is that I already know what happens to this episode. Not going to shortcut it or obvious, but even though it's not going to be a blind reaction, I am still going to react to it because I want to watch this again to give my thoughts about the episode. A lot of mixed feelings, but thankfully, as you can see right here between the dislike button, thanks to the dislike extension, so far it's going to be positive. And like I said, having less than 12 hours and almost not less than less than 150,000 to get to 1 million views, that's pretty good for this episode. And then, like I said, make the meme, love it or hate it, this episode is without a doubt most controversial, basically because no matter how you sugarcoat it, people are gonna have their opinions. Obviously, in my opinion, when I literally was for Deku and all, because even though that I expected Miles to, of course, be more experienced, have the better equipment, and ideally get the speed because of Spider Sense and all, especially with him scaling the real Spider-Man, Peter Parker, who's been actually is the reason why Spider-Man exists. And not only that, well, like I said, I respect and enjoy both characters. Both have their flaws and all, especially with the fan bases and all, but point of views of them. But overall, they're nice characters and all that have their own traits that I can see why people enjoy. It just, problem is that, well, you know how passionate fans can become, and more or less, this one is going to be divisive. The only reason why Ben 10 vs. Hal, it wasn't because Ben 10 lost and all, even though Green Lantern winning was 100% accurate. It's just the writing, the reasoning was done very poorly, which I explained early on, but not get to that. But this one, this can go either way, but Deku easily winning because, even if he does have, thing, it just, the feelings he faced and, the power, the full power he gets, especially he shows in the end of the manga, which they'll show, they will, it was obvious. But besides that, they also, the G1 prediction ball, even actually noticed this, because even though it may look even at first, when you compare and contrast, they basically went all in on Deku, basically because same reasoning. Even though he has the experience and all, it's just the power gap, it's just a strength. Speed, that's going to be interesting because of reaction speed. That one, I'll give my opinion on when it happens. But, like I said, 0 for Deku. We're talking about, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, one-sided win, which was kind of surprising. Oh, speaking of which, G1 blog also been updated their archives and all, so you can see back to season 8 and all, with the year with Dia Brando and all. So it's actually pretty good that they do. They're still updating and all. Yeah, up to season 8. But What sucks though is that some of the prediction and all has been taken out, especially for those who help, including mine. But I'm not upset about it as long as they're there and all. Maybe they can give credit or like other posts. And besides, I'm excited. But what I'm also excited is that realize that this is 198 in September. We're one episode away for the 200th episode. So my question of the day, before we start, what do you think is the 200th episode? And another question is for Superhero Month. Who's your favorite superhero in East and West version? I mean, the West version, like, have to go always between Batman and Spider-Man because, like, those two are just so good. And then East, I want to say Ichigo, but Kurosaki, but like he's not considered Shonen Hero, probably better for it. Shonen Hero, but I would go with Ichigo. But without further away, let's just start right away with the fight and just see the reaction.
Miles Morales versus Izuku Midoriya. Spider-Man versus Deku. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick. And it's our job to analyze their weapons.
And for those who weren't here or haven't been aware, basically Moro animated this fight. The same guy who did the famous Dr. Eggman versus Bowser, that's probably going to be his masterpiece so far. And the previous My Hero matchup, Shigaraki versus Marito, which was a banger of an episode. So let's just start right away. I'll just zoom in right here, so that way you can see. There you go.
Armor and skills to find out who would win a death battle. All right, let's.
And just remember, I sadly know the outcome and all. I'll try not to. Well, you've probably seen the fight and all, but I'm just rewatching it to basically review and critique it and all. But so far in the first one, I thought it was good. Not the best, but still good.
Take this from the top again. This is Peter Parker. He was bitten by a radioactive spider, and for who knows how long, he's been the one and only Spider-Man. A friendly neighbor to all of New York City. In a universe filled with super soldiers, hulking green Goliaths, and world-shattering gods, Spider-Man is there to look out for the little guy. But
Another, probably gonna say this, but without a say, the biggest critique and all is like Spider-Man. Like the title is very misleading. I mean, don't get me wrong, Miles. The problem with Miles, like I said earlier, is that he's similar to, which I actually enjoy Deku on his credit and all, is that he's basically a sidekick. The problem is that Miles should have been given his own cool name, not just taking Spider-Man's name. It's basically would be like Deku stealing All Might as his official name, But that's just my opinion. But still a banger episode, and I respect Miles as a character. The first movie was good. Second one was okay.
that doesn't always last forever.
Yep.
Like in Universe 1610, when NYC's Webhead got iced on the job, the city was left without its protector. But fortunately, Peter wasn't the only one who got bit.
Yep.
Enter Miles Morales, a young teen from Brooklyn just trying to figure out his...
One thing I'll say very positive about this episode is like the backgrounds, graphic animations for the graphic effects for Miles and Deku, especially giving that manga and comic book vibe, even throughout the fight.
Place in the world, and now he had it thrust upon him. The canon event to start all canon events. Now it was Miles' turn to be the hero.
This is a funny one that I spotted. Dislike GameSpot. For those who don't know, basically a GameStop when reviewing, I think the Insomniac DLC game for Miles, he quoted the swagger, literally said, you can look it up on YouTube, GameStop, the swagger of a black teenager, something like that. And that was clipped on and memed for the better, was like, and man, oh Paul, also, like, man, like or dislike Miles, like, he's like in the middle. Like, he does have the potential of becoming a like up there in the Hall of Fame, but the problem is like the lack of like good character stories, you know.
Big Apple needed, and he had all the usual spider kit to help him out.
This spider carried the Oz formula, a genetics enhancing serum that granted Miles superhuman strength, speed, and the ability to alter his body's electron attraction to crawl along any surface.
And you can't forget that classic spider sense, an internal warning system that lets Miles know about incoming threats so he can react ahead of time. He even got an upgrade that acts like a radar, letting him see through stuff.
But no spider person is complete without their web.
And as you see, also known fairly, one thing I really think that I mentioned that I kind of think would be cool to see at a death battle is Peter Parker Spider-Man versus All Might. I mean, it may sound silly, but the fact is, like, the most iconic superheroes to live in their worlds, like, they help inspire people and do projects and all. Even though that All Might would ideally win, I think that would actually be a banger of an episode, especially seeing if Spider-Man, where Peter can use his like equipment and like intelligence to actually outsmart All Might's raw power. Like, it would be actually good. But like I said, also those abilities: nanomachine, vibranium, shoot, Wakandian web shooters, Spidey powers, super strength, radar spider sense, visibility, and venom powers. Overblast, overdrive, absorption. Yeah.
Given to him by Peter's Aunt May, these webs have all sorts of applications between swinging, grabbing, restraining, projectiling, and being made into constructs.
Yep.
Not having Peter around to show him the ropes made things a lot tougher, though. And between mishaps with wall crawling and web slinging, Miles got off to a rocky start.
Like any typical teen.
One thing I'll give credit that a lot of people do is finding actually good, downloading like the getting good renders, like JPEGs of like the comic books and like the DVDs, because surprisingly some of them are pretty hard to find or get, especially like having to use like the anime shows like My Hero Academia and all without getting struck down and all. Like, that is a lot of work.
Could he keep up in school? What was the right way to talk to girls?
And how could he live up to being Spider-Man when one of the villains he had to face turned out to be his very own uncle?
Yeah.
Makes family dinner so awkward. All that trying to kill you stuff.
Fortunately, Miles had a leg up on every other super.
Like I said, it was a good superhero month. I like the references of like Superman and all. I was mixed on the Superman movie, like James Gunn. Like, nothing's gonna beat like Christopher Reeve and all, which I just watched for the first time. Pretty good. I can see why people love it and still stands out. Man of Steel, it's like mixed and all, but I do think that it will overall be better in the long run, just like Man of Steel has.
Hero known to man.
Living parents.
More or less.
Better yet,
Yep.
loving parents. They support
That's a
him
good
when
trope.
things got tough, even if they didn't always see eye to eye. And thanks to them, he learned that the best way to be Spider-Man wasn't to do it like Peter, but to do it his own way.
And it helped that this particular spider had a bit more to its bite.
Okay, this is one of the things I dislike about it, especially with having siblings who are pregnant and all. Is like, why would you... Sorry. It's just one of those tropes and all. I don't like how, like, ladies who are pregnant literally decide to go into battle. Even if you have superpower, fictional or not, it's just like, no. But I'll just get back to it. That's just something I don't like.
A variety of unique powers, like invisibility and venom.
Not like Tom Hardy, though it is
Yeah.
weird to give your main power the same name as one of your bad guys. Come on, Spidey, branding is important.
Miles can harness his own bioelectric energy and weaponize it, which is especially effective against individuals with genetic mutations.
Punching, absorbing, blasting, mega blasting. Hell, he can even make electric constructs out of this stuff, like biowebbing and a damn sword. Jeez, what kind of spider was this?
It's not entirely science fiction. Studies have shown that certain species of spiders, such as the Linophiidae, have a process known as ballooning. By spinning a thread of their silk, they can use the Earth's natural electric fields to fly, traveling up to
One of the I was playing one of the criticisms in the bio, but like I said, I think it was kind of cool they actually went back to a reference to like the first Spider-Man and all, when they actually were referencing, analyzing how real spiders actually do this type of stuff that inspired them in the comics. Like, didn't know spiders can fly. That's scary.
Hundreds of miles. No pun intended.
Well, whatever kind of bite it was, it gave Miles the edge he needed to find his worth as Spider-Man.
Miles can dodge gunshots, missiles, and lightning bolts. He survived all sorts of beatings, including a building exploding on top of him.
Oh, geez, Spidey could lift buildings and dodge light speed attacks, and Miles is more than a match.
Alright, I want to see the light speed.
Oh, geez, Spidey could lift buildings
Yep.
and dodge light speed attacks.
The speed of light is my focus. Okay.
And Miles is
I kind of wish they
more than a
went
match for him.
Like the time he
more
absorbed the energy of
an example into the speed, but like I said, I'll keep quiet about it. While this feat was important, yeah, this is the first Black Flag, and it's basically informing while the PS4 games version, the Spider-Man from the PS5, from the Insomniac games, the basically saying that it is the same and can be compared as Miles did like other crazy stuff in the comics.
a bomb
And
that
crossovers
was supposed to
included.
vaporize Harlem. A blast that would have equaled 15 million tons of TNT.
He's getting kudos from a ton of older heroes too, becoming a member of the New Ultimates
Yep.
and the Avengers. He even helped form the Champions, a team of teenage superheroes with the likes of Miss Marvel and Ironheart.
The king of Wakanda himself even suited him up with some Wakandan vibranium.
The same stuff as T'Challa's own suit. This super rare and tough metal can absorb kinetic energy and vibrational impact.
So I kind of dislike how, well, no, this is just me, but I kind of think that it's a big flaw of like using literally a movie that does not have Captain America and like the main villain only less than 10 minutes of the film as an example. But like I said, I'm mixed on it and all, and I haven't even watched the film, but I've seen clips and all, and like people who have seen it said like wasn't a good movie.
It helps to regulate Miles's venom powers too, allowing him to better control his electrical output.
The vibranium is thinner to
And of course, so I nitpick, like they should have used like actual Captain America using his shield and all, or like Black Panther and all. Like, sorry, so just a small nitpicks like there.
better fit his acrobatic fighting style, but it can still shake off most fatal attacks like
Yep.
they're nothing. This stuff is tough enough that Deadpool's swords have shattered against it.
Though it's not as durable as, say, Captain America.
Okay, this is actually I like using Marvel Rival, like use this type of stuff. And froze. There we go.
And enough kinetic energy will overload it.
Don't be near it when it does, or you'll end up like the Falcon here when he used his vibranium wings to stop a bomb that was gonna blow up New York City. That's twice now. Does any other city have to deal with this stuff?
But when vibranium and spider powers still aren't enough,
Yep.
Miles can push his electrical output into overdrive.
Giving him huge boosts in strength and speed, and making him a whole lot zappier. It's your classic shonen power-up, and he knows it too. He's a bit of a weeb, and has a thing for mimicking some favorites.
Despite his initial insecurities, Miles has more than managed to live up to his predecessor. No longer standing in the shadow, but side by side.
Literally, his universe got blown up, and he was sent to the main 616 timeline, along with his family. And now it's him and Peter as a pair of Spider Bros.
He's even become one of the big players.
Okay, feats blew up the. Sorry, I was just listening, but the more I think one of the big criticism I think I did is like it went good on Spray, but the thing about Spider-Man is that he's known for his speed, and I think the biggest criticism of this that I had, especially when looking at previous episodes like Miles for Static and Deku for Asa, is to see how fast these characters can go, especially Spider-Man, since his spidey sense and agility is basically what helps him keep up with it, especially with like the X-Men, Fantastic Four, especially since he actually became one of the one of the founding members of it, that the Fantastic Four accepted. But like I said, just nitpicks here and there on my part. But let's just get to the feats. Blew up a giant symbiote dragon, lifted most of a building, took tanks from Giant Woman, dodged missiles, lightning, and lasers, stopped any inheritors, and saved the Weather Wife. Won an Oscar. Yeah, that first movie definitely deserved it. Saved an alternate universe from its evil clone and defeated Prowler, Green Goblin, Venom, Mr. Neo, like I said, the problem people eventually may have is just people are sick of multiverse and all. I mean, sure, they're like alternate universes and all do sound like cool ideas and all, especially like ones who invented it, like Doctor Who and all. But again, it's just like when you use the trope too much, it becomes tedious. You know, like, well, you know, good examples. I'm not just gonna sugarcoat it. Like, getting spawn camped. Like, becomes irritating.
Teaming up with all sorts of other spider variants to defend the multiverse.
There's anime spider people, robot spider.
I mean, take a good example is Penny Parker. Like, mad respect for her, but like, even though that she is an alternate Spider-Man, she like became a fan favorite and actual character of her own. Like stuff like that. And Miles can do the same thing, but the problem is that he's trying to, like, the writing and all, is trying to make him the main Spider-Man, which he will never be. Because if he would, then Stan Lee would have, you know, made him debut 50 years ago and all, not Peter. But like I said, nitpicks. Pointless ones.
Dinosaur spider people, spider people, a whole lot of them, each with their own way of getting the job done.
Yeah.
Miles even led them into battle against the Inheritors, a bunch of interdimensional vampire assholes.
This is what Stan Lee was proudest of in his favorite superhero. Regardless
Yeah.
of who they were, any sort of person
This was a
can wear
good
the mask
ending.
and do the right thing. For so long as we stay true to ourselves and help others in our own unique ways, then anyone can be a hero.
I do think that is kind of a nice ending, and showing Stan Lee like, doing a suit. It just, like I said, sorry if I'm, like, being critiqued, like, this is a good episode, but, like, when people, like, main people think of heroes, they, like, think of Spider-Man and all, and it's, like, was honoring the person and all, down to, like, seeing who they are. But, you know, like, no matter if it's like a century or two, Miles will, I think, become lovable, especially with Deku becoming his own thing. But at least with Deku, he actually became his own character and all, and something recognizable.
But what is a hero?
Oh,
To the
yeah, it's
citizens of
spoiler of the
Japan,
manga
there was no one more
in the upcoming anime.
All Might, the big numero uno. With a smile on his face, he could save anyone and win any fight, no matter what.
Or so it seemed. After a battle with his arch nemesis All For One, All Might
Yeah.
was grievously injured. His time as a beacon of hope was coming to an end, and he would need to find someone to pass on the torch.
In this world, most human beings evolved to have their own individual superpowers, or quirks, but not everyone is lucky enough to get one. Like this kid named Izuku Midoriya, or as local bully Bakugo like to call him, the good-for-nothing Deku.
Even though that My Hero Academia heavily is criticized and all, one thing I will admit that does great is it took those criticisms right. I mean, Shigaraki, for example, everyone hated him at first, especially with reveal All For One, as like he became a pointless villain, and then the author basically took those criticism and actually made him a beloved character. Like, love or hate it, like, especially the side characters and all, like, wish they actually had more screen time and all, especially like Toga and the Bunny Girl Mocha, and even Endeavor and all. Like, Endeavor, man, what a 180 turn. And like I said, Deku, love him or hate him, you do. Oh, speaking of which, apparently this was literally on one of the most controversial parts of the episode. Momentous interest. Oh, you know, one of them. apparently I thought it was actually a reference to his like McDonald meme, where he became like, especially towards the end, because the professional part-time hero and teacher, and basically he becoming a Chad Harlan and all. But no, apparently it's a reference to like all the shipping stuff he do, which I kind of makes sense, but like that goes with everything. But yes, it can do agree. It can with most like that type of like stuff can basically kind of ruin stuff. Like probably one of the ones that ruined Rooster Teeth, honestly, because of like basically because instead of being actual adults, it like targeted towards more younger audience, which failed. Well, like I said, let's just get back to the episode. Sorry if I think, but the more I look at this, the more it becomes like review this, the more I'm like mixed on it. Let's see, real name Doria. Spoiler alert. Post time skip near the end, 16 to 24, 5-6, and then like I said, elate his hero names, and then possess and favorite food.
Wanted to save people just like All Might, but even his idol told him that he would have to give up on his dreams.
Forever the beta male in the shadow of Bakugo and his Sigma quirk, until he got the chance to alpha up and lend his rival a helping hand, proving himself worthy of.
Also showing reference to Alpha Up, especially what he gets at the end with with like the audience. Even like the ending was like when I heard controversial, because like people, like I said, people really meaning of him being a McDonald's worker at the end because of how he got nothing at the end. But yeah, thankfully it bonus episode the author made up for it and kind of like shit more or less with Toga, and basically got mean to having his own Harlem and all. Like I said, like some stuff like fan base for better or worse like can make up. It just depends on like the people and how passionate they can be. No one's perfect.
So after months of training, Izuku was granted All Might's quirk, One for All. This power allows him to boost his strength to incredible heights, using it for smashing attacks named after specific US locales, and a soccer club.
Or football, as they call it.
Straight punches, spikes, even finger flicks. One for All is the ultimate in strength-enhancing quirks.
The first time he used it, Izuku destroyed this giant robot in a single blow, on accident. Too bad it wasn't the only thing he destroyed.
That's probably, like I said, that's probably one of the best parts of like character development, especially with reference to like Bleach and all, like powers actually being too much where they have consequences. Like especially Deku in the early one. Like I did like that.
Though. Damn, that looks like it hurts.
One for All's power was so great that the recoil would shatter Izuku's limbs when he used it. In the hands of an improper vessel, One for All could cause their body to explode, so Izuku would need to continuously train to master it at his Hero Academia.
Say that again.
UA High.
Here he'd be inspired by girly pop Uraraka to turn his zero name into his hero name, becoming the Deku who always does his best.
Something that he may have taken too far.
When it came to saving people, Do Your Best here had a bad habit of putting others way before himself. Sure, everyone else was okay, but he'd be good for nothing all over again if he got himself paralyzed.
So to cut down on his hospital bill, he developed full cowling. Instead of using his quirk in short bursts, he would continuously spread the energy across his body at.
One thing I do like about this episode that I give credit for besides my criticism is actually going in character of how they developed from the beginning and how they learned to use their abilities throughout their series. I do like that.
Using it for acrobatics inspired by Bakugo's explosive movements.
And with that new thinking came a new fighting style, shoot style. To use a stronger limb that'd be less likely to break, Deku took a page from Nerd Emoji Ida's book and switched to focusing on kicks to pack in more of a punch. Yeah.
And that power would be needed. After a climactic battle with All for One, All Might would be forced into retirement. just a few months into Deku's training. Now it was his turn to face this demon lord.
But he didn't have to do it alone. Just as All Might had passed One for All onto Deku, it had been passed onto All Might by his master, and
Here come his main power trump card.
under her by her master. One for All was a power that was built upon for generations.
The quirks of the previous users of One for All manifested in Deku, along with their spirits, or vestiges, to help him in his battle against All for One.
And basically, this is something I didn't realize, but basically he had the avatar state. Like, imagine him, the avatar state with, like, JoJo powers, where he can use, like, each incarnation, you can use, like, their main superpower. That's one of the creative things that and one of the main reasons I thought Deku would win is the fact he can target souls and, like, keep these powers for advantage.
Black Whip gives him energy tendrils to swing around.
As you can see, his main quirks, One for All, Gear Shift, Regen, Danger Sense, Black Whip, and then the costumes of how he works.
They can also brace his arms and manually control his muscles if he can't move.
Float allows him to soar high into the sky. By combining it with controlled blasts of pressurized air, he can effectively fly.
Danger Sense detects incoming threats and unease, letting Deku react in advance. Though it's mostly like an alarm bell and doesn't tell him specifics like location or number of threats.
Yep.
Familiar?
Smokescreen lets him, create a smokescreen. But he can use it at full blast to create a bigger smokescreen.
That's kind of funny. Basically one of the most useless part of this mode. But it, like I said, like that's also another thing that people forget. Like, Deku is a good strategist. He actually can, like, plan stuff and all.
Swell and all, but the real meat is in Fajin. After building up kinetic energy within his body, Deku can unleash it for bursts of strength and speed.
He's combined it with Black Whip to create the powerful Black Chain binding attack, and can use it in conjunction with Full Cowling to achieve foe 100%, equaling All Might's full level of power without any recoil.
He once used it to outspeed a bullet shot by Lady Nagant, a former hero turned villain who has a sniper rifle for an arm. I think I'm in love.
Nagant's
Yeah, apparently a lot of people did too, so I can't blame her. And not only that, her power, very gross, but very, very creative. Like, you gotta give credit when it comes to, like, making good characters and making each one of them unique.
bullet once crossed a distance of around 215 kilometers within a fraction of a second. That's 6,700 times faster than sound. And Deku was moving so fast, the bullet seemed like it was standing still.
And he can go even faster than that with his final quirk, Gear Shift.
By touching a target, he can control its speed without abiding by the laws of inertia. He can slow down foes to leave them frozen in the air, or move so fast he can punch multiple times in an instant.
So, yeah, this one is the most confusing, and you'll see later in the episode why. But basically, he has a similar to, like, Giovanni's JoJo stand, or, like, Dio's the Wolves stand, where, like, anything he, like, touches, he immediately freezes and, like, can use it to, that speed to do damage and all. I'm confused about it. Yep, and then see, Deku can forcibly transfer the vestiges to an opponent directly to attack their soul, but he loses one of his quirks each time to do it, and it requires ingest some of his DNA. Like, it is weird.
Laser beams.
It does have a time limit though. After 5 minutes of continuous use, Deku's body will catch up to his speed, suffocating him as his cells become unable to take in oxygen.
Not nearly as bad as one for.
And like I said, this is actually kind of a good, you can hit you really hard reference to Deku for Asta. But that's one of my main criticisms now, since we're about near done, is that I think they should have went back into, like, previous episodes, especially Mild for Static, and actually show some feats and all, to see how they improved and all. And the main thing with Spider-Man is, like, the speed. But like I said, I'll stay quiet on that until it happens. Unlocked all for one for potential. Number 4 hero, ability Dark Might Fortress. flew nearly 200 kilometers an hour, survived the recoils of his attacks, saved Ira, Kota, Amiya, and Lady Nugget, and then Shigaraki all for one overall and gentle. Like, these are good. This was a good episode for the background.
I hadn't even figured out you can breathe through your nose at that point.
The pressure of having to save his friends, the country, the entire world weighed on Deku. So he left UA to fight this war alone.
But alone was never where Deku fought best. Having come from nothing, his admiration for his peers gave him strength, just as they admired his strength and desire to help others. Even Bakugo came around to him.
So when it came time to finally put that demon lord back in hell, his classmates, teachers, mom, friends, enemy, and everyone
this is
supported
good.
and cheered him on. Because that was the greatest threat to All For One's reign all along.
Not All Might, not Deku, not even One For All itself. Just people helping each other out. And with their help, Deku defeated All For One once and for all, blowing a hole in this huge storm and parting the skies for a brighter...
Yeah, I'll explain why, but like, spoilers, those cloud feats are actually an important factor.
future.
Though he did lose his quirk and have to retire from hero work, getting a regular 9 to 5 as a teacher, passing on his knowledge to the next generation, just like every user of One For All before him.
Some might say he peaked in high school. If not for the sick new armor he eventually got to go back to kicking butt, he even made it all the way back near the top of the rankings.
All with the help of his friends. For so long as we keep reaching out our hands to help those in need, everyone can be a hero.
So, yeah, overall, I do think the background animations are great and all. I do have my main criticism of certain parts that should have been added or taken out and go in more detail, but like I said, just nitpicks to make the episode better. But overall, like the backgrounds were good, and I like how it goes from comic to manga and all, like love. And then I'm just gonna skip this part since you already see, but basically it's just for you don't know, Death Battle has a website and all and can promote. I need to do it still, but become a member, but you can buy shirt and all and like see the archives of episode. He'll explain in the episode so you know, but back to the episode, to the actual fight. Cannot wait.
Alright, the combatants are set and we've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for a death battle!
Good start. And like I said, this is kind of nice. Oh, that's nice.
More man and less spider than usual.
Whoa, I was looking for you. Care to show me what you can do?
All right, new guy. First lesson, don't watch the mouth. Watch the hands.
Now watch mine, Delaware!
Let's try that one more time. Guess who?
I can't use my full power here. Gotta take this somewhere else.
Yep.
Oh, gross!
You got skills, man. I like that. Oh, mierda.
Like I said, this is actually kind of good. Especially this part. Like I said, I'm just pausing right now, but like I said, this is probably the... Even though... I'll keep my thoughts short, but like, great startup match and all, especially this, but like, this part is like the best part of the animated fight. Moro goes all out.
Because I always do my best!
Oh, that shot too.
my best. I gotta do my own thing.
Yeah, shots are pretty good.
Sarah was right. Your quirk is amazing.
Amazing is my buddy. They call me the ultimate Spider-Man.
His suit has shock absorption, not nullification. So, it's got a limit. Go beyond! Spider-Man, you really are the ultimate.
Okay, like I said, great. I really did enjoy the animation and all. I do have my nitpicks and all, like some of the 3D environment, like the background goes mix and all. But like it was a good startup and all. The only thing I would criticize is like the flashy moments affecting what's happening sometimes, especially as you saw like Miles dying. Like when I saw this blindly first time, I was actually confused out until I was literally waiting for like Miles to like pop back and like finish him again, like a plot twist. But yeah, I was confused with it because of how to do. I think it would have been more understanding if like it started to the vibrating actually started to clack. It was like overflowing and like Miles like fate slowly feels would be like a reference to like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and all when he's injured, and then see the explosion happen. That way you get an idea. But overall, the animation fight, Moro killed it. Not his best work and all, still flashy and all, and like great shot scenes and all. But when you compare it to like Eggman and Bowser and like Mahito Shigaraki, I think those are better in execution and like seeing in like pure execution and style, you know. But let's just see the outcome.
Let's start by talking about their superpowers,
Yep.
which matched up quite evenly. Unsurprisingly, given the not-so-subtle inspiration for Deku's quirks, though they did have some edges over the other.
The spider sense gave Miles.
And apparently they say on the right that basically this Herod Spidey God apparently is a mentor and is like in his soul, similar to the Fittage and like Awful One with Shigaraki. And apparently they state that apparently Miles could really protect his soul because of him, thanks to Fessages and all, which is actually kind of a good, in my opinion, a good omen. I heard nothing about it, but it would kind of make sense if he could souls and all. And plus, like I said, Deku do.
More insight on his surroundings and threats than Danger Sense, which has been worked around before.
This meant Miles's invisibility was harder for Danger Sense to detect when he wasn't attacking, while the Spider Sense's radar system allowed him to find Deku in a smokescreen. But Izuku's other quirks granted him advantages of his own.
Yep.
Was a lot more mobile than Webs, and Fajin gave a bigger boost in strength than Venom did.
While Venom is effective against the mutant, for those genetic mutate, it has been resistant with other like Green Goblin with durability and all. And with Deku fighting Shigaraki and like other related people who use electricity, it would not help.
Since both had some advantages and disadvantages, we're gonna call super superpowers a tie.
Next up, speed.
Okay, here's the part where I disagree, surprisingly.
Scaling to Peter, Miles could dodge light speed attacks, which actually outpaced Izuku moving faster than that sniper bolt. Fortunately for Deku though, that wasn't his best.
Thanks to gear shift, Deku could speed himself up to match Miles the same way he did to the light-catching Shigaraki. Even worse for Spidey, one touch from gear shift could freeze him in place and make dodging totally impossible. So, speed
Yeah.
goes to Deku.
I'm actually surprised about that because, like, I figured Spider-Man would Miles would, like, win in speed because, like, especially, and this is kind of my nitpick, but I actually wanted it to go towards Miles. Me being biased because even though that I've been nitpicking with Miles and all, like, the Spidey sense is, like, one of the best abilities and, like, is a good reason why, especially scaring Peter Parker, who has kept up with, like, the Avengers and, like, and then, well, in, like, terms of reaction speed and all, like, you think that he would skill, well, I would deem them immeasurable, especially with the Insomniac games where Peter literally goes inside a particle accelerator and actually started reacting to the beams and all. Like, I would deem them immeasurable, and you think, but Deku on the otherwise gets it. And like I said, the gear thing, I'm confused, but it would make sense. Even if he doesn't get touched, like, him punching him would probably activate his, like, the like, JoJo ability and all. So, I'm kind of mixed on it. I can see why they went with speed and for Deku. Basically, him not only keeping up with him, but also basically with gear shift, just giving him full like, that instant moment of prep time to, like, do some, or, like, evade a attack from Breath of the Wild, Fury Strike and all, that would give him the advantage. But, like I said, I was mixed on that.
As for skill, Deku was incredibly talented at analyzing an opponent's abilities and coming up with strategies on the fly.
Yep.
But Miles' powers and fighting style gave Deku few immediate openings.
Deku may have received more formal training at UA, but he was ultimately only active in hero work for a little under a year.
Meanwhile, Miles has been handling everything from neighborhood crooks to...
This one I do agree with, especially the right. He's been trained by, like, Captain America and Black Panther. And sure, while Deku does the same thing, it's not, and both of them are experienced and all, but in terms of what Miles has to go through, especially in the comics, in him fighting vampires and all, like supernatural and all, I can see them why he would be considered more experienced, end quotes. And not only that, like, Deku only did, like, this in a year or two, like, while Miles probably did it for years. So I agree with that.
the multiverse-ending gods for significantly longer.
It's close, but with his
But
bigger
we know why
experience,
the main reason why
Miles.
Deku won.
That means the biggest deciding factor is raw strength.
Yep.
That was no contest. Miles absorbing the energy of that bomb was nothing to scoff at, but overwhelming power is what One for All is all about.
When Deku defeated All for One, the energy needed to part those clouds with his punch.
Yeah.
A yield of 300 and...
So, about that, apparently I found out in, like, another making controversial is, like, scaling that, but for those who don't know, near the end of the Moro, while that was happening, Endeavor, Toby, and I think Shigaraki, you know, the guy who beat it, Tsuko, well, apparently they basically created, in their final fight between the three, basically created a storm so high that it didn't cover all of Tokyo. It was going through the United North of America as well, like changing the weather and all. And why do I bring that up? Well, apparently this is the same weather that you're seeing right now calculated. That's the same weather Deku basically obliterated. And this is probably low scale at best. And like I said, it really didn't matter in the end, because in terms of raw power and durability, Deku has proven to, like, be far showing scaling up to even Spider-Man, Peter Parker and all, has never, even though he faced foes like that, he never shown this type of durability and all, like of raw strength. Even they could have used it other references and all, like All Might versus My Guy, or like Deku versus Asa even, or like even previous ones of them destroying islands, or Deku or All Might at his weakest was able to, especially saving Deku and Bakugo for the first time, literally changed the weather. Like Spider-Man never, especially Miles, never shown that raw power, and at the end of the day, that was basically the main factor. My question was whether Miles' speed and gadgets could kill Deku, and I basically said no, because like he basically has the raw power and durability to not only endure it, especially with him defeating Shigaraki, who, if you remember from Magito, literally fought for 30 days without rest, with stamina and all. Yeah, that's another big factor they could have referenced too. But like I said, I think overall, like, the outcome was obvious when you like compare the two in the abilities.
Tons of TNT, smashing the bomb Miles absorbed out of the water.
But it wasn't as simple as that. Miles is wearing a vibranium suit
Yeah.
after all. So the question wasn't necessarily who was stronger, it was if Miles' suit was tough enough to continuously absorb Deku's blows.
When the Falcon protected New York from that city-destroying blast, it had a yield of 546 megatons.
And it says like the bomb destroying feat was fatal for him, and that was a high end at best. And even analyzed, the vibranium has never shown that type of raw power, especially the equipment Miles mainly uses.
Impressive, but
Like I said, it really didn't matter, as like the raw power from My Hero Academia was pretty clear and cut.
Deku defeating All for One was still over 600 times stronger than Vibranium's limit.
And Deku did that with One For All's embers, not the full package.
And remember, the Vibranium in Miles' suit was much thinner than what Falcon and Black Panther had, making it unlikely it could absorb as strong of a blast.
It's there to provide more protection, sure, but there was no way it could survive all of what Deku could dish out.
In this superpowered battle,
I just realized this, but in this episode, they actually didn't take the compare and contrast of like the pros and advantage and disadvantages each one had. That's actually something I didn't realize seeing until watching this now. So that's kind of good. But I'm just gonna play the rest of the seconds, because like we're nearly done, and I'll give my thoughts again. Like we're over the thing.
speed and immense strength that made him the winning hero.
And the morales of the story is...
The winner is Deku.
Yeah, that's good.
Time on...
I'm actually excited for this. I was confused.
Subscribe and join as a member to see more.
Back-to-back Marvel characters. Hulk vs. Godzilla. I was talking to my brother about this, and how this Devil Artemis was like making this and all, and man, this, I'm not gonna lie, this is actually a good way to set up for the 200th episode, and like the perfect timing of just announcing like, hey, Godzilla is coming back with a sequel to -1, but also hopefully we'll get a sequel to Shin Godzilla as well. A couple of days before this, it was good. But overall, I'm kind of mixed about Spider-Man vs. Deku. When looking back of it, I did say that it's good, but like I said, I'm kind of mixed about it. Like, in my opinion, this is without a doubt the most controversial episode, even Hal Jordan vs. Ben 10, because I do agree with, again, it has the same meaning with like the results, and the reasoning does make sense, but however, when it comes to the two characters and all, and the thing, like, this basically arguments for back and forth. Love and passion went into this, and I do think Moro did make up for making this an amazing episode as best as he could. Still not his best, in my opinion, when you compare, but still a banger of an episode. And like I said, the animation graphics and all. I will say this was definitely more entertaining than Kratos for Ultra, especially in terms of like fair criticism aside, especially with like the fight and all. But like I said, some nitpicks here and there I think they could have taken out or made or add specific scenes to make it better. And like I said, once again, the kill was confusing to look at and probably not as memorable. But anyways, this is about an hour, should have been simple 20 minutes, so I hope you enjoy my rambling and all. And like I said, share your thoughts. What do you think the 200th episode of Death Battle would be? I'm hoping Ruby Rose vs. Maka Alborn, as that matchup is like a personal one for Death Battle and would make the most sense. And also, favorite superhero and shonen hero. So, see you again. Stay awesome. Goodbye.